Donald Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, is back with us. Kellyanne, good to see you.
Hi, Sean.
Pretty ambitious week. I would argue the last 2 weeks have been the best two of the campaign in terms of staying on message. He seems to be very comfortable now with a teleprompter and less controversy in terms of social media. Is that by design?
Well, he's having a great time out on the campaign trail, and I think mostly, Sean, because he brings his message directly to the voters. Look at the difference between the two campaign strategies in terms of just candidate appearances. He's at rally after rally. We have overflow rooms, so people can't even get in. We have such demand for his rallies. And when he's there, what does he do? He talks about specific policy solutions. In the last 2 weeks alone, he has talked about defeating radical Islamic terrorism, granting middle-class tax relief. He's taken his message to communities of color directly and challenged Hillary Clinton and Democrats to explain their records, their awful records over a series of decades. He's addressed Hillary Clinton and her foundation. He's talked about law enforcement. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you want to know where he stands on the issues, tune into one of his rallies. You contrast that with Hillary Clinton, who basically is doing fundraisers and one single speech, Sean, not about immigration or healthcare or education or ISIS or the economy or jobs or infrastructure, energy. She gave one speech and it was about Donald Trump and some websites. So it shows you the difference, and you see it reflected in the polls now. We put out a 10-state ad buy today with that economic ad, really showing people they have a choice in this election, tremendous contrast on economic growth and taxes and middle-class affordability. And the polls show it, tightening everywhere. Emerson College released 3 polls today. We are within the margin of error in Ohio and in Pennsylvania and in Michigan, and in all 3 states, we lead her among independents. In the state of Ohio, according to the Emerson College poll, we are leading Hillary Clinton by 17 points among independents. And lastly, the Morning Consult poll came out yesterday showing that we cut Hillary Clinton's lead from 6% to 3% nationwide. But what was really remarkable about that poll, Sean, was Hillary Clinton is leading Donald Trump among women 44% to 35%. Sean, 44% of American women say they're going to vote for the first female president. It tells you that this election is about Hillary Clinton, and we will continue to make it about Hillary Clinton.
You forgot one poll, too, and that was the LA Times poll. I predicted last week, you know, Hillary Clinton, she was exposed last week in a pay-to-play scheme where top donors of the Clinton Foundation, literally more than half the people she saw, individuals as Secretary of State, were donors or pledged money to the foundation. Now, that's also the week that they release the Klan ad and make these horrible accusations. They seem to have doubled down on it. Is it overreach? In other words, in as much as it's a mistake now for her, that it's so absurd and it's so silly that people see it as dirty politics, typical D.C. politics?
What you just said is exactly how most voters will see it, Sean, for the following reason. Voters have to look at something. It has to make sense to them for them to believe it. And so I think Clinton and also Tim Kaine, who was a real disappointment last week playing this race card, for them to go so far afield on these accusations and these conspiracies, most people will look at that and say, that doesn't make any sense. And by the way, when is the last time you told me what my tax burden will be under your administration, why you call ISIS our, quote, determined enemies, as if we're playing a soccer match against them rather than the savage murderers that they are. 33,000 people killed since 2003, 80% of which were killed just in the last 3 years since the birth and growth of ISIS. So people will look at that and say, you seem desperate. And in the case of Tim Kaine, I mean, we expect the rough and tumble politics, the lies from Hillary Clinton and her folks. But Tim Kaine, you've been a mayor, a senator, a governor, you're running for vice president, Harvard law degree, and you stoop so low that you are making these allegations. And I think it's going to backfire. Look, forget about what I think. Look at the polls. If that were an effective message,
well, here's what's
these polls were all taken after Hillary Clinton made that speech and after Tim Kaine and the ad were released.
Now, Donald Trump is going to go back to Detroit. He's going to reach out again to the black community.
Yes.
He did it outside of Milwaukee. He's done another speech. So this will be the 3rd speech. One interesting poll, the Pew Research had him at 14.6% with the black community. Now, maybe not the highest number, but it is better than the last 8 Republican presidential campaigns that have taken place and voters.
Oh, yes.
So how big a percentage of the black vote do you think he's able to get? And will that make up for some of the establishment Republicans, even some of his former rivals, that didn't live up to their commitment to support the candidate?
Yes, I do think so. And by the way, anything you see reflect in the polls, remember, Sean, that we are doing this, Mr. Trump is doing this without the support of all Republicans. And it's quite remarkable because, you know, Mitt Romney can rely upon practically every Republican legislator, all the donors line up. Everybody's just trying to help him become elected. And of course, they lost 8 of the 9 swing states. Let's not forget, they got 6% of the African-American vote, 27% of the Hispanic vote, 26% of the Asian vote. At least give us our chance to improve upon those margins. And as you mentioned, the Pew poll, even the NBC poll last week, you see very dramatic improvement in our margins among the African-American community. That means that showing up and showing people that you care and actually addressing their concerns and also appreciating and lauding their many accomplishments is really the way to do this. We're not leaving any vote for granted in any state.
Last question. Hillary and her campaign is spending up to $80 to $100 million. I know you announced a $10 million ad buy. Do you think you need to match her dollar for dollar?
We don't need to match Hillary Clinton dollar for dollar or personnel to personnel, because we have something she'll never have, which is a candidate that is dynamic, magnetic, really compelling. People show up at these rallies wanting to see her. I assume the reason she doesn't do that, she goes to private fundraisers with her Hollywood friends and elsewhere. I assume because nobody counts how many folks are there, they just count the dollars afterwards. She couldn't fill up these rallies that Donald Trump fills out. She couldn't have these kinds of audiences. So
and 268 days without a press conference, right?
That's right. That's right. 265 days without a press conference, by the way, which the press, very few seem outraged. They love covering Donald Trump because, you know, I mean, God, I know she's boring and she lies for a living, but there are 2 candidates running for president here. They should both be covered more often. But we have something she'll never have. No focus group, no pollster, no donor, no 1,000 people working in Brooklyn will never change the fact that between now and November 8th, we have the much more compelling, magnetic candidate that's willing to take his case directly to the voters. Scarcity seems to be their strategy. When she comes out of hiding, it's really just to give a speech about him or to raise money.
All right, Kellyanne, thank you. And up next on this busy news night tonight, right here on Hannity.